I'm ready to break out. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up. It's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time. None of you can fucking tell me to stop. My time. None of you can fucking tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town. I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you can fucking tell me to stop.
Welcome back to the Logitech G Challenge USA Regional Qualifiers powered by Beyond Entertainment. My name is Frank Bowen and I'm back with Luke Crane. Luke, how are you doing today, man?
I am so excited to be here. Last week we had loads of new faces and we didn't really know what to expect with the racing, and it turned out to be exceptional. And today we've got some of the old faces, but we got lots of new names as well, so I'm hoping it's going to be just as good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to get into these races too. And like you said, like these familiar faces, we saw some heated battles too going down the last time we did these qualifiers. So we'll have to see how it all plays out on the track today. But before we jump into today's race, I want to take a quick look at our format and pricing because there is a lot of good stuff going on there. So today's racers, for anyone new to this competition, they're competing in our second regional qualifier where they will be trying to earn their spot in our regional final. So for each of our 8 online qualifiers, the top 3 racers from the PC division and the top 2 racers from the PS4 division are going to move on. Now, not only are these racers going to move on, but there's also some awesome cash on the line today. So our first, second, and third place finishers on each platform today are going to be walking away with $250 for first place, $150 for second place, and $100 for third place. And then going forward, the finalists from these 8 online regional qualifiers are going to move on to the regional final. So of those 40 finalists, only one of our PC racers and one of our PS4 racers will advance. So not only are they going to advance, there's also prizes involved here too. So the winners of our regional final will also receive $1,000, a Logitech G product bundle worth $800, which includes a G29 and G920 steering wheel, a Playseat Evolution LGC edition, a G935 headset, and a travel package to the Logitech G Challenge Global Final, where they will face off against the winners from Europe, Asia Pacific, and Latin America. So all of these elite racers are going to be battling it out in a land environment, and we're going to be crowning one winner as the Logitech G Challenge champion, and this champion is going to earn their invitation to compete in the finals of the McLaren Shadow Project. So that is all the stuff that's at stake today.
Unbelievable. So I've been an advocate for a good couple of years now about drivers earning money through racing, and now they have this opportunity here in the USA and Canada region. They can race every other week from this point here.
Yeah.
And again, there's so many layers to this competition in terms of prizes. There's prizes every week, and even if you've qualified for the regional final, you can still participate in the qualifiers and earn that cash. You've also got the Logitech bundle, and I use those products. I use the play seats, and it's all quality stuff. But then you could get flown away, or you could get trained away. You could drive away.
Right.
You don't know where. We don't know where it's going to be yet. But then you could have an opportunity of becoming not only the Logitech G champion of the world, you then get a chance to potentially drive for McLaren Shadow as a sim test driver. It's ridiculous.
It's one of the coolest opportunities for sure that I've seen in like the esports competitive gaming environment. And like we mentioned before too, we've seen some familiar faces, and like you said, even if you already qualify, you can still compete each week for those cash prizes. So like last qualifier, we saw Driver 13 and Dark King 12 take our number 1 and 2 spots on PS4. And if you tuned in last time, there was a little bit of a heated battle between Dark King 12 and the Zebra. And the Zebra just barely missed out on qualifying. Still won the cash at third place, but didn't qualify. So we'll have to keep an eye for them out on the track today. And then before we go down to the track, Our drivers today are going to be racing in the 2016 McLaren 650S GT3 on Hockenheim GP. And again, same as last time, no inclement weather going to be playing a factor today. And we saw last week that track cooling down as the sun began to set. And we saw some of our newer drivers struggle with it a little bit. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as the racers adjust to that decreased level of friction. But Luke, I want to ask you too, before we go down there, is there anything different on this track that we should keep an eye on comparing, say, like Laguna Seca to today's race on Hockenheim?
So Laguna Seca is a lot more of a technical circuit, let's say, not very many long straights, apart from, I guess, from the final corner into turn number 1. But here at Hockenheim, the whole of Sector 2 is overtake paradise. Out of turn 3, or potentially turn 4, you've got this big, long straight. As you can see on your screen right now, going down in towards the hairpin. And if you get a good exit out of the hairpin, you can make an overtake into the hairpin, but you can also get on the power early out of the hairpin. And then you've got a flat-out right-hander, which you have to hit the apex absolutely perfectly to take it flat out, and there's an opportunity there. If you get the right line, you can go up the inside of someone. So we've also got the technical sector number 3, the stadium section as they call it, and well, loads of opportunities there to just break up the inside, but there's also a potential for some accidents as well.
Okay, nice. Excellent breakdown there. I'm excited to see how it plays out, but I think we've also got a list of today's drivers going to be racing in this PS4 division. And keep in mind, top 2 finishers today are going to be qualifying for that regional final, but top 3 finishers going to be earning that $250 for first place, $150 for second place, and $100 for third place. So awesome stuff to see. And I'm excited to see too. You know, it might have been a rough little start for some of our newer drivers racing on such a technical track like Laguna Seca, but also with that, you know, maybe some jitters of, or maybe even like performance anxiety, right? Knowing that their match is being streamed, first time out on the race or on the track with other drivers in that racing environment. So it's going to be fun to see some familiar faces here and see how they've adapted and practiced and how they perform out here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of these drivers would never have been in this environment. So you can race at a community level, you can race at an esports level, but then this is a level above that again because of the money involved. Not
Right.
to say that the drivers are of that level above. They're getting their first opportunity of a lot of these guys. And last week would have been their first time with the transition of time on track where it goes dark. And of course, the tire temperatures become, or the track temperatures become, a lot lower. So there's a lot less grip. And they will learn through that. So across this competition, Frank, I think we're going to see a lot of the newbies, if you like to call them that.
Yeah.
They will get better and better and better. So we'll see some surprises as the competition does go on. And, in most competitions, the first sort of, in this sort of format, the first 3 from PC or first 6 and the first 4 from PlayStation, you would automatically assume, well, they're the quickest guys, already. But we'll find people that will improve. And when it comes to the end of the competition, because they are allowed to compete every single week, we will have some, real elite drivers up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome stuff. Really exciting time to be into the world of e-racing and sim racing, and our drivers right now kind of going through those time trials. I don't know, Luke, did you want to run through some of our drivers out on the track right now?
Well, let's take you through a lap first here of Hockenheim.
Right.
So we've just done turn number 1 there. Very tough corner. They don't have to drop a gear, but it's advantageous to get the power early to drop 1. Coming towards turn number 2 here, drop down 3 gears into third. You could potentially take it in second, but likely to lose the rear. Grab a bit of curb on the entrance there to turn number 3. And this is where the big, long straight starts here. Slipstreaming is going to be absolutely vital here. And you're going to see a lot of cars swerving left and right if they are at the front of the pack to try and break that slipstream. And there we go down in towards the hairpin here, which is turn number 4. Get on the brakes just as the curb arrives on your left-hand side there. You want to clip a bit of apex, a bit of curb on the inside there, but you just don't want to get on the power too early, because if you do run 4 wheels across that white line, it will indeed be a slow down penalty. Up in towards turn number 5 here. This is the flat-out right hand I was talking about, and again, you can see that you have to hit that line perfectly, and 2 cars will not go through there on their own. Then we go on to a just over a 90-degree corner, so it comes back on itself. A little bit of camber there on the exit as well, up towards turn number 7. Indeed, the exit is one of those corners where it does run up on you as well. 4 wheels over the white line will indeed incur a penalty. Up towards turn number 8 into the stadium section then, and you grab a load of curb on the inside here, no problem whatsoever. But again, if you run out onto the exit there, it's raised, so it can completely kill your momentum and also lose the rear of the car and spin it 100%. You've got a hairpin here, which is turn number 10. Up towards turn number 11 here. Turn 12 comes up to you very, very quickly. You want to be using curb there to maximize it. And then you've got double right-hander here, which is turn 13 and 14. And I think he's just going to get away with that there and grab a bit of curb on the entrance. And again, it's a raised exit, so you don't want to be running too far over, but the best drivers will indeed utilize that. Across the line, and well, it's our first time. It's a 1:41.1, which, in all fairness, will be pretty competitive, I would say.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so a nice little lap around the track there, and we'll see how all the other racers stack up as they submit their times here.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, we're going to check out the drivers then we have got in this lobby. And we've actually got a couple of stories here. There's actually a set of brothers in this race as well. So we've got Renal here, David Santos. He is from the United States of America. And you can see that they actually are using the livery that comes up on screen. So you guys can start to pick your favorites across this competition. Dark King then, he's the bad guy from last week. He took out the Zebra. Not took him out, but leaned on him a little bit there last week to qualify. Then we got the first of the Airstrike brothers, Airstrike 1989. He will be in the number 11 there from the United States of America. Next up then is Mr. Vin Min Vikings from the United States of America. He'll be in the number 58, the white car with the black trim. Next up then is driver 30, last week's winner, Joshua Freund from the United States of America. He will be in the number 6, and he will be early favorite here off of form from last week. Then we've got Fly for a White Guy, also raced last week. His name is John Fly, must be Marty's brother. What a great name that is. Next on the list, that is Sauce. He is from the United States of America, and I'll tell you what, Frank, that's my favorite name so far.
And then, you know what? You can't get much more of an American name than Sauce. I think that really that really embodies the spirit of America right there.
Well, I'm going to tell you one thing now, Frank. In the PC lobby, you're going to see another name that's more American than that.
Oh, man. Is it Denny's?
No, it's even more American than that. We just saw the other Airstrike one, which is the other Airstrike brothers, Airstrike 1. Then we've got Swizzle Rizzle there, Kyle Martin from the United States of America as well. Then we've got Twisted XV3, our first Canadian of today's stream, and he is going to be in the Vodafone number 2. And then we've got the Zebra 94. It's a chance of redemption. We're watching him on screen right now. He's actually provisionally on pole position here with a 140.2. And again, from last week, a chance of redemption. And we've got M10 PSI, and he's currently 8th position. And he is from the United States of America as well. So there you go. That is all of our drivers. But we say a chance of redemption, Frank. Yeah. The Zebra, he's on pole.
I mean, he came out with a mission today. He says, I don't even want to deal with this Dark King guy. He did me dirty last race. And, you know, it's a fun little, you know, we kind of play up the rivalry a little bit. And it makes it a little bit more exciting, but definitely something to watch out for. I mean, you saw on the graphic earlier how Driver 13 and Dark King were our first qualifiers for the PS4 division, and the Zebra, while he did win money, he didn't qualify yet. So he might be coming out on the track today with a little bit of a mission, maybe a little bit of even a chip on his shoulder, and we'll see if that translates into his racing out here.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't want to let it get to him too much. He doesn't want to let him affect his overall pace. And he doesn't want to be looking out for Dark at all. He doesn't want to be looking out for Dark King. Just wants to concentrate on his own thing. And right now, looks pretty damn comfortable there for 140.2. We're on board with the pantomime villain, Dark King here. He's got 4 more corners to go here at Hockenheim. And can he improve on the time? Currently 2 seconds off the pace. And we know that he's got more pace than that, judging from last week's performance. So it should be interesting to see around the penultimate corner here. And again, didn't grab any apex there, didn't grab any curb at all, and did on the final corner though, so he is maximizing. But this will be another banker time. I think he can improve on that once again. He goes across the line, he does improve by 0.6, but it's not enough. Frank, he's still in P6.
Yeah, and that's kind of the cool thing with all these, like you mentioned, like improving on times and all that sort of thing. Yeah, with the way this is set up, there's many of these qualifiers that you can enter in and potentially compete in. So it's going to be cool to see these familiar faces as they improve, sort of as they gain that experience out on the track, and see what they can bring to the table. Because I know for me, this is like a whole brand new world of competitive gaming, of sim racing, and of esports. So I just get really excited seeing, you know, even like the minor improvements that these players are able to make just week to week.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we've thrown them in the deep end here because any car in the GT3 class, although it's probably the favourite class for people to use in game, is a very tough car to master. And like I said last week, the McLaren, especially, sorry, the McLaren, the McLaren is the car that is most on the edge, if you like. To get the most out of the car, you really need to get the car a little bit sideways. You need to have a load of brown trouser moments. It's just one of those vehicles. But when you do get the most out of it, it is a super, super fast car. But a lot of these guys would have been racing Clios, little Ginettas, and this is a whole different world to them. We're just looking at Airstrike here. So Airstrike versus Airstrike here. So Airstrike 1 currently in P3, and I don't know which one's younger out of the two brothers, but Airstrike 1989 is currently in 5th position. So Airstrike 1 is winning the Battle of the Brothers.
Nice. And yeah, so keep in mind too, as you're watching that 3rd and 4th position, that's the difference between getting in and out of the money as well. So we see some, nice little scraps kind of as players might even get a little bit aggressive or try to make moves, especially in those positions, which sort of gets you in and out of the money.
Yeah, of course, but I think the best thing about what we're seeing right now is Driver 13, who last week won, is only P4, and Dark King's only P6. So, they were the quickest last week, but we're already seeing people who've raced before, like the Zebra, who's currently on P1. Like, they're improving week by week. So we're seeing new names. Source, his first ever race here with us in the Logitech G Challenge, and he's P2. So right now, they're the two to be looking out for. And actually, Source is on a charge here. 21 seconds to go. So I think this is going to be his last attempt. I don't think he'll cross the line before the timer indeed does run out. But can he improve here enough to take away that provisional pole here from the Zebra? 2 corners to go. That's a really nice line out there through there, to be fair. Maximum time gained. Doesn't use any of the curb there. Across the line he will go. And actually he will get one more lap time here. And he does not improve. So he's 0.4 of a second off the pace. But he has one more lap to go here. We're going to go aboard with Airstrike 1. Currently in P3. And he's come around the final couple of corners here in a very fruity looking livery. And that's not a very good entrance at all. And actually that will be lap invalidated. He will not be able to post this time. So his qualifying over. But, P3 is not a bad result for his first race in this championship. Here we got Driver 13 and last week's champion. Is anyone else closer to the finish here? Fly for a white guy? No, he's a bit further behind. We've got, he's further behind as well. And we have got Snakey. So Snakey's next to come across the line. And I tell you what, that car looks like it needs to go to the scrap garage. That is not a pretty looking McLaren. That is a very expensive crash that he's had there. So next up to come through will be Driver 13. So last week's race winner here when we were at the Laguna Seca. Can he improve in his time? Can he get back up to pole position here? And he goes second, so he's on the front row of the grid here. So he is now Dark King's still in 6th, but he's up into the front row of the grid. He doesn't have to worry about coming top 2 here, though, Frank. It's all about money for him.
Yeah. And that's the cool part about these races, too, is that once you qualify, you're qualified, but you still can compete for those cash prizes, and you can either put those to upgrading your gear, upgrading equipment, or just having a nice little nest egg waiting for you there. So that's a really fun part, and something that I really like about this Logitech G Challenge series and the way we're running it here in the USA for the first time is that you're not just trying to qualify, you're also trying to, one, you can make a name for yourself, but also you can win cash at the same time. So it adds that sort of extra layer of, go ahead.
Sorry, I think Source has just gone pole. Yes, he has.
Oh.
Source has gone pole position at the death here. 1/10 of a second, nothing between the top 3. 2/10 in total. Incredible stuff there. So we just didn't quite catch him crossing the line. But yeah, Source is on pole with Zebra in 2nd. But the big story here is Dark King, who qualified last week, only P7, Frank.
Yeah, interesting to see that, Adam. And I'm not sure, that maybe that's playing into that psychology of it a little bit, maybe feeling like, I already qualified, maybe there's not as much on the line, maybe he's inclined to not push it as hard. But we also saw, last week, those starting positions, things got mixed up. I mean, pretty quickly off the bat. I think it was Driver 13, I want to say, who might not have even had that lead for very long, but he sort of overtook very early on to gain that first place spot, and then was able to finish out strong. But I gotta give it up. It's a little bit almost like a mirror image of last week with the Zebra at the very end, thinking he's in the running and is qualifying. This week, thinking he's in pole position and overtaken at the very last second there. So I got to give it up for the Zebra there. A little bit frustrating maybe for him.
He's writing his own underdog story at this point.
That's right.
But I'm sure it'll come good, and you can tell by the license that Source has got. A 1682 is pretty decent, and you all start on 1500. So to be around 1700 is really, really good. Actually, it's very difficult to keep hold of your driver rating, especially as a lot of these guys would have done public lobbies, and on any racing game, that's not a fun place to be. Source then is our pole sitter. Zebra is in second. We've got Driver 13 in third. Airstrike 1 is just one position ahead of his brother then, with Airstrike 1989 in fifth. That's going to be a story to tell.
Yeah.
We got Swizzle Rizzle in sixth. We've got Dark King 12 in seventh. We have got Fly for a White Guy 8th. M10 PSI is in 9th. Mr. Min Vikings is in 10th. Twisted is in 11th. 12th then for Snaky. And we've got Renault rounding out our 13 drivers. Frank, this is going to be a great race. 20 minutes of Hockenheim when it goes from a day to night transition.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see this again. Again, guys, if this is your first time tuning in, this is the Logitech G Challenge USA Regional Qualifiers. We've got these running all the way through August. So if you're interested in this, I mean, mark your calendars, schedule this thing out if you're a big racing fan. And again, check out actualvision.com/G Challenge USA. You guys can register, qualify, and compete yourself. So, I mean, this is an open invitation for everyone out here.
Absolutely. Anyone can get involved. If you're from Canada or America, come and sign up. But here we go. We've only got 11 drivers in the lobby, so a couple of people have pressed the return to race central, unfortunately. But we are live here. It is round number 2. It's a great start then by Source. And actually, looks like it might be a jump start here. That will be a drive-through penalty. So let's hope that isn't for him. But he leads away here nicely. Second spot then is the Zebra in that red car in the background. But it's too wide then between Driver 13 and Airstrike 1. Airstrike 1 trying to go up the inside here. And actually, there's a little bit of contact there. And Airstrike 1 makes a space up the inside. The Zebra, they're getting caught out by going on the brakes too early. And there's a little bit of a little bit of a bump there. Airstrike 1 off the circuit, getting bumped by, looks of things, Driver 13, last week's race winner. Two contact in a straight line here. And that is a big, big off, and that's not the Airstrike brothers yet. Wow, both Airstrike brothers are okay. Who was that? And actually, it's Dark King. So Dark King is on the receiving end here, Frank.
Yeah, that's, oh, man. Oh, he got another.
Oh, dear.
Oof.
That is a car on its roof. That is not the place to be, that's for sure. I think that is that Swizzle Rizzle? No, it's not. That is actually last week's race winner. Oh dear, he is out of this race. We've got 10 drivers left in this session, and not good at all.
Yeah, if you're new to racing, you definitely want to have all 4 tires on the other side. That really helps stay in the race. But unfortunately, that's going to be the end of that story there. But again, keep in mind he did qualify, so he's just out of the money right now. As we see, I believe it's Saw still holding that lead. And I think the Zebra also in second place. Dark King still in that final spot here. So a little bit of early retribution there. Maybe a little bit of a karma in action for Dark King. But very interesting initial breakout here on Hockenheim.
Yeah, 2 big smashes. One at the hairpin, one out of turn number 3, which is never good. But I saw Snaky was getting quite close then to M10. But it didn't quite work out. We saw him off track as we did go on board with him. Twisted then from Canada. Can he be our first Canadian qualifier on PlayStation 4? That would be quite the story. Yeah. Coming down in towards turn number 2 here. And he's hanging in there. He's doing pretty well. He's got to wait for a mistake by Snake. And Snakey is actually on both platforms, isn't he, Frank?
Yeah, I believe he's on both. And I think even Twisted we saw on PS4 last week as well. So that's another familiar name. It's cool to see, these drivers returning, making these stories like we talked about Dark King and stuff like that. But yeah, these qualifiers are on both platforms. So you can either be playing on PS4 or PC or potentially even both to sort of double your chances there entrance-wise. So it's interesting to see and how this community plays out. Again, if you go to actualvision.com/G Challenge USA, you can join our Discord and just get involved with the community, because even though we kind of play up the rivalries like Dark King and the Zebra and things like that, it's an absolutely awesome community to be a part of. So it's a joy really to watch these racers then out on the track competing when you sort of build up that story and you know who they are as kind of as people.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree with you more, mate. It's It's just one of those genres. I just looking at the messages here. It looks like 2 people did indeed return to Race Central, unfortunately. Oh, there's a big off there. That's M10. Is it M10? No, it's not. Who was that? That was... Oh, it's Twisted. It's Twisted off circuit there. Airstrike moves up a position here. Airstrike 1, I should say. Airstrike 1989 is down in 10th position. So Dark King, although he's had a big smash here and will have damage to that car, Frank, is pushing here. And you never know. Oh, I don't think he's going to qualify out of the top 2, and he doesn't need to.
Right.
But there's money still on the line here, so he's got to be hoping for a few mistakes, but there's every opportunity. And actually, the Zebra was very, very close to the source, but unfortunately did not close the gap enough, and looks like he made a mistake, actually. It was 0.3 of a second, now it's nearly 3 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So, but still keep in mind, the Zebra was that person who didn't qualify in that first round of our qualifiers. He finished in 3rd, but now if he's able to, even hold on to this lead sum, again, those first 2 places will qualify on PS4. So while he's a little bit off of the lead right now, he's still in a pretty good position to be able to qualify if he's able to hold on to it. And I think, is that a fly for a white guy in 3rd position also? Because we saw him.
Yes.
Yeah, that first online qualifier, he was another contender who was right there, just barely making the cut. So awesome to see him out on the track now, holding on to 3rd.
Yeah, what I think is most impressive here is the Zebra is lapping in the 1:39.9s now. That's quicker than anybody in qualifying. And you've got a lower fuel load in qualifying. Your car's in better trim for qualifying, so now he's lapping quicker in a race. He is absolutely flying here. We're watching, though, M10 here trying to overturn Fly for a White Guy's deficit. They're very close to lead. That might be a penalty here, actually, for Fly for a White Guy. So M10 using every inch of the circuit. And it's absolutely vital to get the best turn in, to get on the power the earliest, is to take a nice wide entrance. And actually, you can see there, Fly for a White Guy struggling with the exit. So these two are making little mistakes, and they're pushing each other to make those mistakes.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see. And again, going wide
there. We go.
Ooh.
Both off synchronized mistakes there. M10 did a barrier. That is gutted for him, and he's going to reverse here, and he's not reversing too far to go back on circuit, but now he loses out. He's down in 6th position. Airstrike 1 up to P5. Snakey then is up to P4. Fly for a White Guy, who actually nearly did exactly the same. It was a synchronized move there. He made a mistake, ran a little bit wide, but he managed to hold on here. But I've got a funny suspicion that Snakey might be able to snake his way up into a potential podium.
Yeah, and that's an interesting story too, because when we were watching the qualifying rounds, Snakey's McLaren was looking a little bit banged up there, but now he's out, when it counts and performing pretty well. So got to give it up for Snakey here and his driving out on the track. Definitely cool to see. But like we were mentioning earlier, before we saw that little synchronized mishap, that 3rd and 4th position, that's the difference between being in and out of the money. That 2nd and 3rd position, that's the difference of being a qualifier for the regional final and not. So those are some key positions to look out for as things kind of move through and this race progresses here.
Yeah, but there's the pressures of qualifying for the event, the regional final, which you could do over the 8 weeks.
Right.
But money is the here and now. You earn that money. So coming 3rd, I'm not saying it's more important than qualifying for the regional final, but money's money at the end of the day. He won't push too hard to try and catch up to 2nd, but he'll definitely want to get 3rd position here, will Snakey. And just make sure he banks that money, because again, it's always next week to get the qualifying for the regional final. And actually the front 2 are looking so super strong here, both lapping in the 40s, and no one's anywhere near. And actually, to be fair, Airstrike 1 was the closest, but now he's back into the 42s. So the front 2 are 2 seconds quicker than everybody else on track.
Yeah, and that's something cool to mention too, that sauce, right? We didn't see him during that first qualifier, so that could have changed even the dynamics of that race and who did and who didn't qualify. But right now, I mean, he's showing us that he's got the stuff. Oh,
the Zebra's made a mistake here. So he's dropped right into the path here of Fly for a White Guy. So we could see potentially again the Zebra losing out here. So he was only 2 seconds behind what we're going to call hot sauce now instead of sauce. He is flying right now. And the Zebra's made another mistake there. Poor exit. And, the Zebra, is it going to be one of those stories where he just can't quite get across the line?
I mean, man, I can't help but feel for this guy right now. After what we saw during the first qualifier, he came out so strong. He was sitting in that pole position during qualifying times until our boy Hot Sauce was able to finish that last qualifying time and get that pole position. So, man, my heart is going out to the Zebra right now. I just hope he can hold on throughout this race.
Yeah, he's still got over half the race to go. It's going to transition. You can see already the shadows growing here as the sun does indeed set. But look at this, M10 behind last week's Bad Boy, already qualified for the regional final, Dark King. Although Dark King was in last position after turn 3, and he did indeed qualify 6th. But now he's back up into 6th position. And you can see in front of him that Snakey and Airstrike here, and actually so is Fly for a White Guy. They're all battling, so if they go side by side, lose time through corners, every reason to suggest that M10 and Dark King could indeed catch them near the end of this race.
Yeah, and like we said, that third place, that's getting in the money. That's $100 in your pocket. So Fly for a White Guy, Snakey, Airstrike, and Dark King, all very close there as we continue on with this race. And yeah, we still have a lot of time remaining too, so keep that in mind. It's not, a typical lap, like doing X amount of laps and it completes the race. It's on time, so there's a lot of opportunity for that 3rd, 4th, 5th, and even 6th position to get shaken up here.
Absolutely. Look at this camera angle here. You can see all the 3 cars coming down towards the hairpin. One of my favorite camera angles in the game. Oh, late dive up the inside by Snakey. No way he's hitting the apex. See you later. Ooh. Nobody's home. He's knocked at the door, tried to post a parcel, but there was nobody home, unfortunately. Airstrike 1 does indeed move up a position. It's a Snakey, but was battling it for 3rd position, but now finds himself down in 5th spot. Airstrike 1, though, looking for an opportunity here. Fly for a White Guy looks very, very timid on the brakes. And Airstrike 1 there, giving a little nudge there. And actually, it looks like he's... Oh, there's contact between the two. And, well, he drove straight across Airstrike 1's bonnet there. I don't know whether he's expecting him to yield, but they were both battling for the same part of the circuit. And unfortunately, Fly for a White Guys came out worse off.
Yeah. And here we see, yeah, I believe it is Snakey in that 3rd position now. So that is
now,
the spot. Yeah. And, even though we kind of made him out to be the resident bad boy of the bunch, right? I've got to give it up for Dark King. I mean, he was all the way in last place right at the beginning of the race, and just to have the mental fortitude to slowly inch your way back up into those positions, I mean, that's just impressive stuff. He didn't get defeated. He didn't just hang back at the very tail end of the pack here. He worked his way back up and is now sitting in 6th place. So, I got to give props to him and his driving for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about not giving up, but he's got the experience of already qualifying. That, weight's been lifted off his shoulders, so he can relax here. Airstrike 1 going very late on the brakes here, and he's going to have to take the long route round here, side-by-side action, and Airstrike 1's, he's got it done up towards turn 3. Snakey there turning in, and the awareness of some of these drivers needs a little bit of work, that's for sure, because clearly there was going to be a car there as they did go through turn 2 side-by-side. But you can see he's going to try, well, he's not even trying to get into the slipstream here, but I've got a funny suspicion here that Airstrike 1 was involved in that big crash at turn 3 on lap number 1, and he's got damage to the car. He's going to miss the apex here as well. I think Snakey may get an opportunity up the inside. He does, and that is not how you overtake. No. And I would like to think that Snakey does indeed let the position go here, just in a sportsmanship manner, but it's for money, so probably not. M10 still in behind Dark King, but we're going to stay on board with this here. Airstrike 1 versus Snakey. So Snakey, again, I think that's 2 desperate lunges into that hairpin, and they both really shouldn't have pulled off, but unfortunately, because of Airstrike 1's mistake, kind of being used as a brake there on the exit. So Airstrike 1, again, this is the bubble right now. This is for the money at this point. Looks like the Zebra and Source are in a great spot here to indeed qualify for our regional final, but this is for $100 right here. So can Airstrike 1 find the gap here? And safe to say, Frank, Snakey is not going to let him go back through.
No, and if he is, it's not going to be easy. Airstrike 1 potentially suffering even more damage to that McLaren there as they go forward. But yeah, like we mentioned also during that first week, maybe a lot of these racers, and I'm sure these guys are a little bit more experienced, but some racers, they only perform in time trials, right? So when they get out on the track with other cars, they're not used to that environment. They don't have that awareness, like you mentioned earlier, to know, hey, I know this guy's, right on my tail. If I take this line, there's going to be some contact involved. So while it might look like to the average viewer that it's sort of like an unsportsmanlike conduct type scenario, sometimes it's just, like we mentioned before, that experience, and that those drivers don't have that awareness of what's going on around them just yet. But I mean, even comparing, say, the race we saw, the first qualifier, to this one, I think just performance-wise, a lot of these racers and drivers have stepped it up, and I'm impressed with what I'm seeing so far. I'm
really impressed with Source right now. I think that guy is really on a different level to everyone. We've already seen, of course, Driver 13. Well, where's Driver 13? Driver 13, oh, he's on his roof, wasn't he? Well, I'll tell you what, let's not talk about that, because Airstrike 1 is going to try and go the long way round here and actually gets off the gas there. And well, you can see that actually it's going to be a compromised entrance into the left-hander there. And can Airstrike 1 get on the power early enough? Snakey has to leave the room. He's going to have to go the long way around here again. No contact. Oh, it's a beautiful move by Airstrike 1. And that is how you do an overtake. But I think Snakey is actually back through. Yeah, so Airstrike 1 must have cut the corner somewhere to get some sort of slowdown. But he got the move stuck. And then Snakey is retaking that opportunity.
Yeah, man, I mean, the back and forth battle between these guys is absolutely intense to watch out here. Great moves by Snakey holding on, but I mean, Airstrike 1 definitely not a driver to sleep on. He's taking a lot of great lines, and even in that damaged McLaren, like, we're not sure what he's kind of dealing with or what he might be having to battle against to maintain this position, so I got to give props to him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a third person coming in here. You know, they say where we're going, we don't need roads in Back to the Future. But we've got Marty McFly's brother here. We've got Fly for a White Guy coming through. And we definitely need roads here, though, for this race,
yeah.
just to let you all know, just to clarify. And,
right, we haven't started that race yet.
For sure. None of these got penalties. You can see Fly for a White Guy making a bit of a mistake there. But again, this is a three-way shootout right now for $100. Like, it couldn't be any more clear-cut here. Like, unless the top two make a mistake, they're going to be qualifying for the next round, $250 and $150 for Source and the Zebra, respectively. But again, this is it now. $100 is on the line. Right now, Snakey has got that position, and he's got Airstrike 1 and Fly for a White Guy trying to get that cash money.
Yeah, so going to be interesting to see how this plays out, especially with some of the aggression, whether intentional or not, out of Snakey. He seems pretty dead set on maintaining this position. We've seen good moves from Airstrike 1 attempting to overtake Snakey here, but I mean, his driving is just not given much way for Airstrike 1 and now Fly for a White Guy to find any positions to come through.
Well, Airstrike 1's got a little bit more experience. I know this because he actually races in my American leagues.
Oh, okay.
So he's got quite a bit of experience within this game. And if he's going to look to find a pass, he'll look to find a pass clean. That's for sure. And as I say that, he nudges Snakey.
Oh.
Like, unbelievable. The timing of that
It's the caster curse. It's the caster curse, man. It happens to the best of us.
Oh, God. Do I ever feel silly right now? This happens to me on a daily basis, Frank. But now, he may have damage to the car again because he's taken front-end damage, which will actually lower the speed, top speed of the car. With 4 minutes to go, I think Fly for a White Guy may become favourite to get this P3.
Yeah, I mean, he's in better shape to do so right now, sitting behind Airstrike 1. So yeah, we'll see if that damage does play a factor. I know Fly for a White Guy, maybe not the most consistent driver we've seen. We've seen him struggle maybe a little bit on some more difficult corners and things like that, but he is in a good position right now to potentially overtake Airstrike 1 for that P3 position.
Absolutely. He's got a little bit of pressure from behind in Snakey as well. We know Snakey, if he sees a gap, he's going to go for it. Looks like we've got a couple of people in the chat that watch my stuff because, yeah, the Acti casting spell is still there and the curse is real. Yeah, that's true, guys.
We have verification now.
Oh, man, the amount of times I'm casting on a leader of a race and he could be leading by 15 seconds with 3 minutes to go and they've spun and lost a race is ridiculous. Yeah. Well, sometimes I have to pretend like people aren't in the race.
Right.
Pretend, oh, they're not available today, but they're cleanly winning. It's crazy.
And then they start blaming you, too.
Oh, they started blaming me from the very beginning. Don't worry about that. Sim races always have an excuse, and I just happened to hand them one in their palm of their hand. So crazy times. I tell you, Fly for a White Guy, as much as he's pretty quick, he's quite erratic with his style. If he cleaned up his style, we'll see him go off track quite often. And again, he's running a little bit wide there in the background in the white vehicle. I think he's got the potential to be very good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's shown a lot of promise, and that's the cool thing. We'll have to keep an eye on him throughout all these qualifiers, because even from the first race we saw him in on Laguna Seca to today, it's cleaned up a little bit, considerably. I think, the only real thing we had to say much about him first race was that we really liked his name. But now he's, made some improvements, some adjustments, but there's still a little bit of room for work for him. So as the Logitech G Challenge moves on, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him pretty consistently in those top positions.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, although he just keeps making these silly mistakes. But again, he'll get experience from this. Snakey again, going up the inside there, and he's just too aggressive once again, as Snakey. And he needs to really rein that in. And in all fairness, Frank, his aggressiveness has cost him here today.
Yeah.
He's got damage from the car, which means he's going slower, but he's lost so much time by missing the apexes, by running out of the exits of corners, and just taking a very long route around Hockenheim.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point, too, that with the experience, I think Snakey also is a driver that has shown that he has what it takes to perform well out on the track, but some of that experience, getting used to being around other drivers. And that's one thing that's interesting too, is that in a competitive esport like e-racing or sim racing, you're kind of simulating a real world experience.
Especially with money, Frank. Money
Yeah.
is a huge factor in this. The nerves come in. It means a little bit more. You're a little bit more aggressive. You're not quite as friendly. Right. There's no such thing as friends on track when there's money involved. I've seen it in many a competition, and that goes for all esports. So sim racing is absolutely no different. And we actually saw today in Formula One, Max Verstappen won the race, but he did a very questionable move on Charles Leclerc in Austria. And again, there's no further action was taken by the stewards in the end. It took a few hours, but these things happen in racing.
Right.
When the stakes are high, they've got to get going.
Yeah. And that's one of the cool things about watching this, is that there is that money on the line. There's the qualifiers for the regional final on the line. So you get to see these drivers kind of playing maybe more to their true colors and being maybe a little more aggressive because there's more at stake. But then, of course, you got to mention, too, like last qualifier, we saw just great sportsmanship out of Max A. Power, and that paid off for him as well. He ended up in that P3 position and qualified, but he had a couple penalties that he sort of took himself and was flashing his lights and slowing down. So it's cool to see sort of it gives you almost a taste of these players and drivers' personalities that show through their style as well.
Yeah, for sure. I could not agree with you more there. I just think it goes back to the old adage. These guys are going to get... Well, there's Snakey making a little mistake here. They are going to get better and better as the weeks go on. And that's not a that's not a road, mate. That's a barrier. Oh, and Snakey coming back on dangerously. And that, if that's reported, will incur a qualifying ban for the next available round. Coming back on track like that in a dangerous manner. So if that's reported, Frank, next week he will not be able to qualify.
Yeah. So...
Oh, we've missed the race winner.
There we go.
Is Logitech G Challenge USA Round 2 qualifier winner here. He's going to take the $250. He's going to take his ticket to the regional final. And who's joining him? Well, he was very unfortunate last week. Very unfortunate to start this race. A little bit of nerves came in, but the Zebra, at the second time of asking, has made it through to the regional final. Third position, I think, is going to go to Airstrike 1. One of the two brothers then, I wonder if we'll see both of them get through to the regional final, Frank, but he has booked himself, well, he's not booked himself a ticket to the regional final, but he's got himself that $100 prize.
Yeah, so great race out of those guys, and I got to say that I'm happy for the Zebra right now. That's probably a lot of pressure off him, too, trying to qualify, and now he can just start racing for that money, like we've seen out of a lot of these players. But, of course, we saw driver 13 with that unfortunate accident here today. Was hoping to see more out of him, but I'm sure we'll see him more in the future. But there's Airstrike 1 right now in that third position, so congratulations to him on that $100 bill.
Yeah, for sure. But the big story here is first race out for Source, and he's got his ticket to the regional final. But he is $250 richer, and it's pretty conventional win for him, wasn't there? No real dramas. Got a nice lead. There's a few incidents in behind him on lap number 1. He didn't get involved, and Zebra put a bit of pressure on for the first half of the race, but one mistake cost him about 10 seconds, and Source drove away, and probably what you can see on his last lap was a 1:43.5. Took a few seconds off his lap times because he was under no pressure and coasted across the line.
Yeah, but of course I got to mention like that fourth place as well. That fly for a white guy showed, was able to stabilize a little bit after being a little shaky on a couple of those turns. So I'm sure we'll see more out of him as well going forward with these qualifiers.
Absolutely. Could not agree more with you. But let's get the actual clarification of the result here. Source then is our victor here. He wins $250. The Zebra 94 will win $150, and they both will qualify for the regional final. Airstrike 1 will come in third spot, so one off the qualification for the next round, but he is $100 richer. Fly for a White Guy is in P4 and making his way higher and higher each week, so I'm expecting to see him qualify over the next few weeks. Dark King already qualified, finishes P5. M10 PSI is probably one of his first ever experiences in online racing, and he's done very well to finish in top 6. We've got Swizzle Rizzle finishing in top 7. Snakey, who I think for my money will be under investigation for the driving, it's just the whole nature of his driving and
Right.
coming back on track in a dangerous manner. Airstrike, the other Airstrike, the two brothers, he finishes in P9. And then we've got Twisted, XV3, who finishes down in 10th position. Great racing by all of them, but it's all about Sauce.
That's right. But ladies and gentlemen, like we said, that was an incredible first race that we just witnessed here on PS4. And we've named our second round of drivers. And again, congratulations to Sauce. Our first and second place have qualified for that regional final. But we're not done just yet. We have another race coming up on PC. And we've also put together a little video highlighting last qualifier's play of the race. Stay tuned. We saw some incredible driving during our first of 8 online qualifiers for the Logitech G Challenge, but it was Max A Power from the PC division who shocked racers and viewers alike with his incredible comeback to secure a top 3 finish, earning his spot in our USA Regional Final. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Logitech G Challenge play of the race.
And, well, it's a blind left-hander at the best of times, let alone with no sun in the air. Actually, Flipmo's taking a bad line through there. You can see a little bit of desert being churned up by that red McLaren. And can Max Power get third position here at the death? He's going to try and go the long way round here, try and get a better entrance through the corkscrew. Can he get a decent exit here? And he does, round the outside. Can he get the move done here? Flipmo's been hung out to dry, and Max A Power takes P3 here in the first round of the Logitech G Challenge USA. Incredible scenes here.
Driver 13 and Dark King 12 were the first 2 racers to qualify on PlayStation 4. Meanwhile, THR Operator, THR Wildwind, and Max A Power rounded out the top 3 on PC and secured their spots in the USA Division Regional Finals. You can register for your chance to win at actualvision.com/GChallengeUSA and tune in this Sunday, June 30th at mixer.com/TeamBeyondNet to check out the action live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Logitech G Challenge USA Regional Qualifiers. So for any of you joining us fresh off the start here, we're about to get into our PC division races, but let's review our format again real quick. So our racers today are competing in our regional qualifier, and if they finish in the top 3 on PC, they will move on to our regional final. So that's something to keep in mind as you're watching the race here. But these drivers aren't just battling it out for the qualification today, though. First place is going to be winning that $250. Second place will be winning $150, and third place will earn $100 as well. And then once you are qualified for that regional final, you'll be amongst our 40 qualified finalists, where just one PC racer and one PS4 racer will be battling it out for $1,000, a Logitech G product bundle worth $800 in prizes, and that travel package to the Logitech G Challenge Global Final to face off against the winners of Europe, Asia Pacific, and Latin America, where we will crown the G Challenge champion. And that G Challenge champion will also earn their invitation to compete in the finals of the McLaren Shadow Project. So there is a lot at stake and a lot going on and a lot to win. So if you guys are interested in competing, make sure you head on over to actualvision.com/G Challenge USA, where you can register for PS4 and PC and have your shot at all these awesome prizes and opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. There's it's endless opportunities. You know, we're trying to breed esports talent here. You may not even know that you are of the level to be, known as one of the best sim racers. I'll go back to the story I told last week. Igor Fraga, 18 months ago, no one had any idea who he was, and right now he is deemed the best sim racer in the world. And not only that, because of sim racing, he is now racing in Formula 3. So he is just an inspiration to everybody. And I'll tell you what, he's a lovely chap as well.
Yeah, and so we'll be racing again today on that Hockenheim GP track for this PC qualifier. So, once the lobby is kind of loaded, we'll head down to the track and start watching some of our racers' time trials. But just to recap a little bit of what we saw during the first qualifier, our first 3 winners on this PC platform were THR Operator, THR Wildwin, and Max A Power. So they all qualified, and as you probably saw during the break with our little play of the race highlight reel, there was a tremendous overtake from Max A Power at the end of that race. And I think Operator and Max A Power are both in this race again, or at least registered. So we'll have to keep an eye on them out on the track, as they, Operator just sort of ran away with it during that first qualifier. But like we mentioned during the PS4 race, Max A Power, kind of the gentleman out on the track. He was slowing down, flashing his lights, letting the other drivers know that he kind of went off track. And then we were saying, he might be out of it, but he battled his way back. And I believe he overtook a third member of THR and took the first 3 position sweep away from them. So it was really impressive stuff out of Max A Power during that first race.
Yeah, incredible stuff. It's like the positive karma, if you like. He made a mistake.
Yeah.
He owned up to it. He let them back through on track. He got his reward. He came third. He stopped a THR 1-2-3. Flip mode didn't make it. Wildwin and Operator, who is genuinely one of the very best in sim racing, not just in the United States of America, but worldwide. He is in this race here today. Again, he's already qualified. He's out here for the $250. So it's going to be really exciting to see him. But the 2 other THR drivers are not here. They're actually having a really terrible time at Watkins Glen. Horrendous reason to miss sim racing by going to real stuff and drinking beer and crazy times.
Yeah, I saw them talking about that in the Discord earlier.
You feel sorry for them?
Oh man, they posted a picture of that view, and
Horrible.
I'm just sitting in my
horrible.
my home staring at my wall, and I'm like, yeah, you guys have it pretty rough, huh? Just won some money the last weekend, and now you're spending it all this weekend, man. I felt really bad for him. No?
It's just spent at this point. Yeah, it would. Knowing those guys, it would have been gone first night, no problem.
But that's the cool thing, right? They can take this weekend off and show back up next qualifier and get some more money to lose.
Absolutely, indeed. Well, our operator here has just moved house today, so he wasn't supposed to be racing. And he said he's going to try and rush it through. So he's moved house, moved state, and now he's here racing. So that's commitment.
Yeah, that's it's impressive stuff. I gotta say, like, yeah, the sim racing community, probably one of the most dedicated that I've seen. Just in terms of like sharing information, posting guides for each other. I was just browsing, the Discord and even just looking up, various videos on YouTube to sort of familiarize myself a little bit more with the whole esports scene here. And yeah, I mean, there's so many people involved and so many people just dedicated to putting out some awesome content. So even if you're, hesitant on maybe joining, I know we saw like last week, Racer Bones. It was just he bought the game the night before and was out there and everyone was helping him, getting involved. And it just seems like an awesome community and something awesome to be a part of. So yeah, if you guys are even on the fence or think that it's a large barrier to entry, there's plenty of committed people in the community that will gladly help you out and things like that.
Absolutely. Talking of Bones is back here today. Well, actually, let's look at all of the drivers here in this race. We've got 11 drivers, but unfortunately, a few of the drivers that were supposed to be on PC had signed up for PC, but they were meant to sign up for PlayStation 4. What can you do? Bloody lemons. Kumori then is here. Nick Wagner. He drives in one of my leagues as well. He's very, very quick, so it'll be interesting to see him. We've got Blashy Boy, Matthew Black. He also races in my leagues as well, so I'm quite familiar with him. He's pretty damn quick. Then we've got Dave Carr 10 from Canada, and ironically, he also races in one of my North American leagues.
Nice.
Next up then is Snakey Rafa. He was in the PS4 race. He's got a chance of redemption here, and I think he really needs to take this opportunity here to race it a little bit cleaner and make a name for himself in a different way. We've got Happy Smoke here, and his name is Matthew McColvin. He is from Canada. And then we've got Dano LP, and again, he races in my USA North America League. He's from the United States of America, so good to see him here. Then we've got Case Master from the United States of America. And yes, again, he is another racer that I'm very familiar with, which is great to see. Then we've got Chemtrails 420. He was one of the drivers that was actually signed up for PS4, was signed up for PC, and then questioned, how is that possible? You signed up to the wrong one. No one else but yourself to blame, brother. Max 8 Power, last week qualified. He is the good guy of the lobby. He is here also. Then we've got THR Operator again. I cannot put over how good this driver is. He was a part of the World Championships Project Cars 2, and now he's here in the Logitech G Challenge. We've got Racer 66, and I guess he's racing in virtual reality. Chris Sweeney from the United States of America. And next up then is, well, I told you there's a more American name, didn't I, Frank?
There
Fat
we go.
Matt Barbecue. His business name is Fat Matt Smoking Barbecue. Little plug there for him. But that is a more American name, Frank.
Yeah, I got to give you that one there. Nothing like some good barbecue. But hey, Denny's works too, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Denny's and barbecue. I think that's the American dream now.
I'm an advocate of grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm also a big advocate of proper grinded lemonade, spiked lemonade.
There you go.
They do a very nice concoction at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not that I've mentioned that I've been there every day since.
Yeah, but that was a cool. I even followed. I think they had some sim racing and stuff setups from Logitech there as well, I believe.
Yes, they did.
Not too long ago. So I followed that. I wasn't there in person, but followed that on social media a little bit, and that was really cool to see. Kind of the worlds combining there. You kind of had both things going on where you could hop in the booth and try out some of the sim racing setups and get a feel for that e-racing thing. So that was kind of a cool little merge there that was going on. But yeah, I'm kind of jealous now that you got to head down and check it out. So I might have to mark my calendar for the one next year.
Yeah, so that was the launch of the Logitech G Challenge. Not the official launch, it was kind of, we were letting everyone know that it was going to be launched within the next week. But we had Joseph Newgarden, who was a 2016 IndyCar champion. It might be 2017, but he's an IndyCar champion, a very young man as well. And he was in the Indy 500, a very nice chap. And he came to race, and he was really heavily involved. So this guy is at the top of the pyramid in racing. And he didn't have a very good race in our Indy 500 mock-up. And these guys are very, very busy, but he was raring to do another run. He was telling his people, I need to do another run. He was trying to set up for it, but there wasn't enough time. But then he stayed around for like half an hour talking to people, and he really appreciates what esports brings, but he's of the younger generation. But we're seeing this in all forms of racing now. Jamie Chadwick is the current leader of the Formula Women's Series. She won the Nürburgring 24 Hours of Aston Martin just a couple of weeks ago. She races for Fernando Alonso Racing. She was there in Indianapolis. So she's a full-time racer, but she also is a sim racer. But we're seeing the transition is absolutely huge here. Lando Norris, who has been exceptional in Formula One recently, and a lot of people said he was overrated, and because he's from sim racing, and people always write him off. Man, the guy's incredibly talented, regardless of whether it's on a sim rig or a Formula One car, and the guy is absolutely smashing it. So the lines are being so blurred at this point, Frank.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest aspects of the whole sim racing. So, you take something like, let's say, like NBA 2K, like the game. You can be a really good NBA 2K basketball player, but you're never going to be 7 foot, right? Here,
No.
it's much more of a, not necessarily like a one-to-one comparison, but if you're good at sim racing, you can, it's much more of a streamlined transition. It lowers the cost to entry, which I think is something that's really cool, because you take a look at other sports like, let's take my example of golf, right? I can lose $35 worth of Pro V1 golf balls in a single round. But something like sim racing, you kind of make that initial investment, and then you can just practice and play and compete over and over again, and it's not sort of that like recurring cost. And again, these tournaments that we're running with the Logitech G Challenge, they're free to enter as well, and you can win money on top of it. So I think this is a really unique opportunity, and something that we'll probably really see grow, and also almost, sort of like combine and come together as they work out these different, like the McLaren Shadow Project, how that seeds into, being on their sim racing team, but then that can even transition into the live environment out on an actual track in a real car. It's one of the coolest things, hands down, that I've ever seen come out of that sort of competitive esports setting.
I'm really thankful to companies like Logitech, to PlaySeat, to McLaren, because some people don't want to become a real racing driver because of sim racing. They want to become the best sim racer in the world. Like that, there's two different aspects here. There's a lot of people who want to transition into racing, but again, like I said, people want to be the best in the world at sim racing. That's why McLaren have a racing team and they have an esports team.
Right.
Logitech see this. They understand that, of course, people wanted to go into racing, but they also are now offering prize money. This is why I've been saying it's so important that we have to offer prize money for sim racing, and it has to happen more often. And that way it does become its own entity. And I'm, again, an advocate for sim racing being different to motorsport. A lot of people say, no, it needs to be as close as possible. I don't necessarily think it has. I think they can run alongside each other, right. But I feel like they have to be different. We need to get into the qualifying here, Frank, to be fair.
Yeah,
great
let's
conversation, by the way. Operator, of course, is on pole position. We could all see that coming an absolute mile off. Max A. Power, then, already qualified, by the way, is in P2. Got a new driver here, Racer 66, then, in P3. Kumori in P4. And Dave Carr is in P5. So right now, if it was to finish in the race, those top 5, Operator would get $250. Max Power would get the $150, and Racer and VR would get himself the $100. But Racer, Kumori, and Dave Carr would be the 3 that qualified for our regional final.
That's right. Yeah. So keep in mind, if you can only qualify once. So since Operator and Max A. Power qualified during that first regional qualifier, they are basically, you can't qualify twice. So those spots get bumped down to those other positions. So that's really important to keep in mind as you watch these races. The first 3 positions, 1, 2, and 3, are always going to be those prize money positions, but those qualifying positions kind of get bumped down as we see these racers kind of enter week after week and have already qualified. So excellent point there, and that just makes it really exciting to watch some of those other positions, because like in the PS4 race, that was where a lot of those battles were happening, in that 3rd, 4th, and 5th position. So going into even looking forward to the next qualifier, where we have those spots fill up, there is even more opportunity. So you might think, hey, I could never finish in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. Well, guess what? It might not even matter. because those
We could be
positions
looking
can
at
be bumped
11th
down.
and 10th at one point.
Yeah.
Like, because there's so many people qualified, we could be looking right down the order for the next qualifiers. So it's really interesting, the format we've got here, and it's a very good format. And also, it rewards people for turning up each week to competitions. So it keeps the competition nice and fresh for everybody. But also, it rewards, you know, not necessarily the quickest guys every week, because you can get qualified for the regional final. We're talking about qualifying. It's over. THR Operator, of course, is on pole position, and barring a mistake, he's going to be very difficult to stop. And I was talking about a 1700 license on this game. This guy's got a 2300 license. That is just, if you come up against that in a lobby and you see it, it's like receiving a metaphorical kick in the nut straight off the bat. So not good at all. Max A Power then is in second. Again, they are both already qualified, but good to see that they've got great form. And again, that's a big factor here as well, Frank, that form going into the final, you don't want to peak too early. So if you can have a continuation of that form moving forward, it's always a bonus as well.
Right. Yeah. And we'll see. I think we got Snaky in this lobby as well. So like you were mentioning earlier, though, that kind of having prize money on the line and that being involved, it does make it a little bit more, you feel like you're competing for something. And I think we saw that come through in that first PS4 race where Snaky did get a little aggressive, maybe a little bit too aggressive, which will be up to, you know, that reporting system as well, where if you're being just a danger to other people out on the track, obviously that might need a little bit of correction. So that money is like you said, it legitimizes so many things, but it also brings out so much from the drivers that there is something on the line. It's not just, oh, I'm doing another lap around the track. It's no, there's real tangible things that you can win now in sim racing and e-racing in this new kind of esport. So it's awesome to see. I mean, yeah, it legitimizes it, but then it also makes it so much more interesting to watch, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of this lobby is they've just watched the PS4 race, so they've seen Snaky be,
Snaky.
They've seen him be snaky. So they could expect one of two things. They could expect him to, they could take advantage of him easily because he wants to redeem himself, maybe not quite on the pace, or the people behind him could be expecting him to make a mistake and they could profit from that. So, you know, it is all on the line here. We've got ourselves potentially 1 minute 30 seconds of these readying up, but normally they're pretty damn well. They are quick because they're ready to go here. It's our final race of today's Logitech G Challenge USA. It's round number 2, or qualifier number 2, here at Hockenheim. We've got 3 red lights, and we go green here. And Operator is off to a flying start here. Max A Power may come under pressure from P4, actually. P4 already up into what's Kumori. Kumori already up into P3 here. And actually, looks like Racer has managed to hold on to that spot there. So Kumori got onto the brakes here, but look at this then. Max Power's already down to 3rd, so Racer has got a great line through turn number 1. Operator's already going to try and just drive off into the sunset here. Check out everybody in the background here. There's Dano LP. There's a car off circuit there. I'm not too sure who that was. There's a blue car there. It might be Bones. I think that might have been Bones. Fat Matt Smoking Barbecue then is P11 here. But actually, it might be quite beneficial to be in that position, judging by what we're about to see here. So you can see all the cars coming down towards the hairpin here, and we may see a potential overtake. You can see very late on the brakes then from Racer. Max A Power nearly gets tagged there by Dave Carr. Dave Carr's going to take a wide entrance here. We've got Kumori and Flashy Boy fighting for position. They're actually side by side here. You see there's a little bit of contact in the background there. Fat Matt not able to make up any positions, but they've all filtered in nicely, and the top 6 are in single file.
Yeah, so an awesome...
Oh, late move, sorry, late move here. We've got to move up the inside there by Blashy Boy, and he gets it stuck. As a brilliant move. And actually he's looking for a double here. Can he go the long way round of Dave Carr? I think he's going to have the momentum. He's going to come into the stadium section here. He's going to still be too wide in towards the stadium section here. Dave Carr on the inside. Flashy Boy round the long way, and I think he's going to run out of track. No, he's not. He's on the brakes nicely. He's definitely got the one position stuck here. He's up the inside then of Dave Carr. Can he get it done? And he does. The double move there for Flashy Boy. Take a bow, because that is absolutely glorious.
Wow, incredible plays out of Flashy Boy there. And again, this is now technically a qualifying position for him as well, as Operator and Max A Power in that 1 and 3 position. So those qualifying spots are open. But if this guy keeps driving like this, I mean, we might be in for an exciting one here today.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, Flashy Boy's got a reputation as not so much snaky we have, but yeah, someone who's a bit rough around the edges.
Okay.
Giving us a flash of approval there by the looks of things. But yeah, so to see him race as cleanly and as precisely as that is absolutely, that is top level racing right there. That is unbelievable stuff. Clean as a whistle, then now he's actually pulling away. He's got some serious pace here, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff out of Blashy Boy, and this is, again, something we didn't see in that first qualifier. I don't even believe he was in participating in that qualifier, so for him to come out and perform so well.
3 wide. Sorry, Bones in the middle here. And they've managed to get through nicely. Someone's running wide. That's Dano LP running a little bit wide here, not able to turn in. And again, they're all side by side coming out of there. So Dano LP is round the outside here in that blue car of Happy Smoke. Happy Smoke in the orange and black there. He is now filtered back in. And sorry, Frank, there's so much action. I keep coming over here.
No, I don't mind it at all. Once I hear you start talking.
Oh, no! Sorry! Happy Smoke's lost the rear. They're going to go 3 wide through in towards the stadium section. And Dano LP has done a double overtake round the outside. Has he got it done? Oh, he has! That's incredible stuff there. But he's still, wow, look at this. Happy Smoke still trying to get back involved. Will Dano LP make the exit in this corner? He's run wide up to slightly. Happy Smoke trying to take full advantage. Does indeed do that. He is now back up into P7. No, that is Dano LP. So Dano LP has overtaken Bones and Happy Smoke. So Happy Smoke was the blue vehicle. So in all fairness, it was a mistake by Dano LP, but he's recovered nicely. And Happy Smoke has got Bones all over his chuff pipe here. And now Fat Matt Smoking Barbecue's involved here. Snakey's involved as well. And now we have got a train of McLarens here, all battling for P7.
You know, incredible stuff there. But I got to say, a little story here with Bones. His first ever race in Project Cars 2 was our last qualifier, last weekend, and he finished in dead last, but he came out again today, and I mean, the improvement that we saw between that first race to this one, and him competing and driving as well as he is, I mean, that's just awesome to see. It almost warms my heart in a way that we saw a fresh face come out. He was in the Discord saying, oh, you know, I might try this out. This looks fun. And now he's out there competing and performing so well, and again, so respectful. And I gotta just mention him because that is one of the coolest stories too, I think.
Oh, mistake in front here. Sorry, Dano has run wide then. Happy is up. Bones is up in position, and I think everyone's through a position here. No, Dano will come back on. And yet, you're right. I feel like he's our little pet dog. He's our little puppy that we're going to look after through this competition.
That's right.
Tell you what, I'm also quite proud here of Snakey because I just saw him in 2 consecutive hard-braking corners. He's gone late on the brakes, that's the style, but he's managed to get it pinned, and then he's held back a little bit and not gone for the dive. So I think he's already learned his lesson, and if we can improve drivers like that, then, you know, we're doing our job here with the Logitech Key Challenge. But I'll tell you what, Bones, again, it's his second ever race here, and actually he has made the, no, he's not, he's in behind Happy. I'm going to call him Happy Gilmore. I just keep wanting to say Happy Gilmore at this point. But Bones is definitely the most improved player, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even just watching him take these corners, looks like a totally different driver out there. Again, looks like he knows what he's doing a little bit better. You know, maybe still a little rough. Yeah, he's driving like lines that he understands. I know watching him during the first PC race, you could tell he was new to it, right? But the amount of improvement from week 1 to this week, he looks like he belongs out there now. And I think that's one of the great storylines too that Project Cars 2 and this Logitech G Challenge and just the racing community in general can tell is that this is a community where you can get involved literally just on a whim. You don't have to have any real prior experience. Bones didn't, and now now I'm intimidated by him out here. So I think it's just a really unique opportunity and something worth exploring. And even if you have a slight bit of interest, worth getting involved in, because I think you'll find it really rewarding.
I've spoken to so many people in my community who race in our USA leagues and like, oh, I'm not of that level. And now we're seeing people like Dano LP who's giving it a go this week. Fat Matt Smoking Barbecue's in 11th, but they're racing in an esports event. This is a whole different kettle of fish to community racing. You don't get these opportunities every week. Like, the opportunity to race for money, this is only going to gain you invaluable experience. And like people like Fat Matt is, you know, he's like my dad's age, but he's like, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can. This is like he's never been in a high pressurized environment right now. And look at these guys. You know, Dano is not, you know, the youngest man in the world. He's not as old as Matt by any stretch. And Dano making a move here on Bones, and actually there's a little bit of contact there. But they go through side by side. Bones there, leaving enough room. But I tell you what, this is invaluable experience for these guys. Running side by side with people, not causing accidents, but running at this kind of pace. It's just you cannot buy that sort of experience.
Right, and that's again, we'll touch on it that there being money on the line, it adds that pressure, right? It's one thing to just join a community race and kind of get out there and, you know, go around the track. But there's money on the line and there's qualifying positions on the line. that brings something out of people. I know, like for myself, I have that sort of competitive nature. I like those nerves getting up, that adrenaline starts pumping. You have something to race for. And even that experience alone will improve, everything across the board. So yeah, if you consider yourself even the slightest bit of a racer, if you've had project cars too, maybe you're looking to, dust off your copy a little bit, get out here and compete. Sign up, actualvision.com/GChallengeUSA, and get involved, because this is experience that's free to enter that you literally can't get anywhere else.
We've got a perfect move, look here at this overtake. You can see that Dano's made one move there on Bones. Bones is going to have to go the long way round. Dano at the inside. I think Bones has got him. Has Bones got it? Bones has got him! Oof. So Dano made one defensive move, which is what you're allowed to do in towards the braking zone. And once he made that move, Bones has gone the opposite way, and he's gone the long way round. So now not only are we seeing Bones run side by side with other drivers, we're seeing him perform really good overtake. I've got to give a lot of credit here to the THR operator. He's been posting the videos, he's been almost a consultant here for Bones. And to have someone who is clearly the quickest guy in the lobby right now, quickest guy in the United States of America, to take his time while moving house with a, he's got a family, to still look after people, that level. This is why it's so important, that anybody comes and has a go at this. Logitech are trying to breed new talent. They're trying to give new opportunities to people. And we're seeing it right in our very own eyes. This competition is the same car every single week. We're going to see people who, at the start of this championship, had no hope. And we're going to see them qualify by the end of this championship, because they've improved over time. Every week they've taken a second off their lap times. They've taken 2 seconds off their lap time. And it's all about experience. It's all about racing at the very top level. Dano crossing the corner there. And look at this. This is a battle for 9th position. This is the back 3, yet they're still all fighting very, very close to each other.
Right, and I absolutely love it. And like you mentioned, the operator too. I mean, he's out in first right now, clearly ahead, but it takes time out of his day, out of his busy schedule. And to compare it to something, it'd be like, say you were, shooting around, shooting basketball in a gym, and then Michael Jordan shows up to, help you on your jump shot or something like that. That's literally the opportunity that's out here in sim racing right now. And
Snakey's got the move done. Sorry, man. Snakey has got Happy Smoke here. Snakey has managed to get out of the hairpin. It looked like a very good move from where I was looking. But look at this, and Happy Smoke trying to find a gap up the inside. He's not taking the optimum line, so you see he's lost a bit of time on the exit. He took an acute angle into that flat-out right-hander. Through the left hand here, coming up towards the stadium section. And Snakey is up into a P7. We talk about people who've already qualified. Operator currently in P1 and Max Power in P2. They are already qualified. So right now, Racer VR is in 3rd position. He would qualify. Kumori would also qualify, and Blashy Boy. But I tell you what, there is a battle for the bubble here. Dave Carr is closing in on Blashy Boy. So the top 3 here, doesn't matter whether you've qualified or not, you will win money. $250 to the winner, $150 to second, and $100 to 3rd position. That's every single week, guys. Even if you qualify for the regional final, you can keep coming back. But right now, we've got a battle here between Dave Carr and actually Blashy Boy, looking for a move here on Kumori, perhaps. And you need that security as a driver here, Frank. He's in P5 right now. P6 is the bubble. If he goes up to P4, it's one like defensive car, if you like, behind him that could take the hit for him.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the racing we're seeing here too, especially on the PC division, and I'm not sure if we just get maybe more experienced drivers on the PC side, but the moves that they're taking and the way they're able to handle these cars, and especially with the pressure now of both money on the line and these possible qualifying positions. I mean, it's awesome to see these little sort of packs sort of divide themselves up, and you see some really intense battles going down here on Hockenheim.
Oh, Blashy's having a little nibble here. Gets his nose up to the left rear panel. Oh, Dave Carr avoids the accident there, and Blashy Boy should really be looking to give up that position. That was the old Blashy Boy that we don't need to see. So Kumori is going to be absolutely furious there with him. Dave Carr moves up into that qualifying position. So right now, as it stands, we've got Racer at 66 in 3rd position, Blashy Boy in 4th, Dave Carr in 5th. Of course, they are provisional results at the end of this race. We do have an incident system. So we'll be giving out penalties to people. It could be time penalties. It could be missing qualifying for the next race. You can get race bans. We ideally don't want to be throwing them out. But yeah, we also have a system where if people consistently are, being naughty, let's say, right, or creating accidents, the penalties do get more severe. So we do have them in place. I think a couple of people might be in line for a penalty or two this week.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting aspects of the sim racing world as well, is that, you know, in games like, say, Call of Duty or something like that, there's no real penalty system that can be involved. It's going to just, with sim racing, it's you and your car and how you handle it. So if you're driving or behaving in a way that warrants either, you know, a slap on the wrist or something more serious, I think that also fosters that sense of community as well, because you all have a responsibility to each other out on the track to behave in a manner that's favorable. And it's good that there are rules in place to sort of curb those types of players as well. And it's something you don't really see a lot. But and I know there's also things like I don't think we've seen any this weekend here yet, but things like, you know, second penalties that you can keep an eye out for that can also alter those positions for things like going off track and things like that. So it's a really interesting system, and I think it really plays into the community aspect of sim racing as well.
Yeah, the beauty of sim racing is it's the only esport where you can have a direct effect on your opponent. In Call of Duty, you're supposed to kill your opponent. In FIFA, you're supposed to score goals against your opponent. You know, in CSGO, again, you're supposed to kill your opponent. In this game, motorsport, believe it or not, everyone says, oh, rubbing's racing. It is a non-contact sport. Apart from Rallycross, where it's basically a battle royale. But in this kind of racing, GT3 racing, like endurance series racing, it's a non-contact sport. Of course, if you do, you know, just have a little graze with each other, that's bound to happen. But yeah, overtaking like that for Blashy Boy is just not how you do things. And the beauty of this competition is he's got to face all of those guys in the Discord later on. Like, he'll be receiving messages saying, "What was that for?"
Yeah.
Like, so you're always held accountable, whether it be the competition rules. Oh, I tell you what though, Dave Carr is looking to go round the outside here of Blashy Boy. Blashy Boy's going to have to leave the room on the exit here. Dave Carr isn't quite side by side. He is, to be fair, but I think he's going to just lose out. He's going to be in the slipstream though, and we could potentially see a move here for a P4. So again, it's quite vital to be in P4 here, because one of the front three do make a mistake, that's where you could get some money. Right. So getting into P4 is vital, but these guys do not want to be the ones making a mistake. Blashy Boy looks like he's held on tough here. Is he going to miss the 8? Oh, he's run wide there, and Dave Cart's also run wide. This is now playing into Kamori's hands. So Kamori, who's currently in that silver car in the background in 6th position, he was 4th until Blashy Boy did give him that love tap off the circuit. But if these two keep battling, Frank, there's every opportunity to see him close that gap.
That's right, and keep in mind too, just to review real quick, that 1, 2, and 3 spots are the money positions. 250 for first place, 150 for second, and 100 for third. But since our first and second place drivers right now have already qualified, those qualifying positions get bumped down to 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. So that's why you're seeing some of this intensity here, and maybe a little bit more aggression than you typically would out of Flashy.
Yeah, for sure. And old Dave Carr makes a big error here, and I think Kamori's had the door left open for him. Dave Carr has to leave the room here. They go through side by side up towards the final couple of corners, and wow, a bit of curb there for Kamori, and they're still side by side. Perfect room left though, and Dave Carr defends. He lives to fight another day, and how has he recovered from that? And I tell you what, that is one of the toughest sections in world motorsport to go side by side, Frank, and they've successfully done it. And actually, this is probably the toughest through turn 1, and Kamori decides to back out there and not to try and make an overtake. What about that action?
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy to see, and keep in mind too, they're like with the speeds and the track is cooling down. We mentioned that during the first qualifier, you see that friction start to reduce. It gets even
mistakes are magnified. Mistakes are magnified.
Yeah, it gets even more difficult to control your car. So to pull off moves like that, I mean, I've got to give props to both of these racers.
Yeah, it's given Blashy Boy a bit of a buffer here, though. He's off now on his own here in P4. So it's now between Kamori and Dave Carr to get the provisional 5th position. And you can see that both cars are pretty well intact. And actually, it's a mistake there by Dave Carr. Kamori on a power early, and these will be side by side, Frank. They're going to come up towards this flat out right-hander. And again, you can see Kamori squeezing Dave Carr to try and open up that corner as best he can. And I tell you what, it's a great move. Got the power early out of the hairpin. Used the as much track as he possibly could with Dave Carr on his outside. And, wow, he just got really committed to the corner. And it's paid off here. Could have been an easy mistake. Didn't well, it's not worked out for Dave Carr, but Kamori back up into that qualifying position, and now what does he do? Does he take his time? It's 3 minutes to go. He knows he's going to qualify for the regional final, or is he going to go seek redemption against Flashy Boy? Is he going to have that chip on his shoulder, and is he going to give us a show here with 2 laps to go?
Man, I don't know. We're going to have to see how it plays out. I know if it was me, I might put my position on the line and go for a little bit of redemption with that chip on the shoulder and go for some revenge there, but we'll have to see how it plays out. but I mean, I can't give it up enough for these guys, especially Komori in that 5th place, taking heat on both sides. And again, too, to look back towards a little bit more of our bottom of the list here. Snaky in 7th, Bones worked his way all the way up to 8th. So some of these new drivers, I mean, performing absolutely well. And again, keep in mind, as players qualify, those positions open up. So it makes me happy to see those guys. And again, Snaky seems to have cooled off a little bit. Might have came in a little heated for that first race. But Bones, I mean, to see him performing this way, and he's not far off of that pack, that 4th, 5th, and 6th position. So
yeah, well, if they close up, if they have a big accident, Bones and Snaky have got an opportunity here.
Yeah.
But they just look a little bit spread out. I'll tell you what, as someone who is a sim racer at heart, that's how I began, like, it's not always about winning. Of course it is about winning, you know, especially when there's money on the line, but to race side by side with someone is the objective. That's what you want to do. You want to have that thrill of, you know, stepping out your sim ring and or if you're using a controller or whatever you're using, and sweating and thinking, Jesus, how did that work? Wow, how am I going to recover from that? Having to drink 17 liters of water to recover. Like, that is why we do this at the end of the day. You want to simulate, you know, racing side by side. And, you know, we've just saw for 18 minutes, even the guys at the back, Dano, but, you know, Fat Matt Smoking Barbecue, Happy as well, Bones, Snaky, they've been involved in a battle pretty much race long. And, you know, that's, again, invaluable experience.
Right. And it improves week by week. That's another thing, too, is it's not all about first place. It's this corner I've been struggling with all week, and I finally nailed it. And that's your first place for that week. And that's what we're seeing out of players like Bones. We saw him struggle a little bit out on the track, and you know, he was respectful, took his time, but kept at it. And now these little improvements over time, if you stick with it, they add up, and then you start getting into that contention. Like, you're like, in the running.
Well, it's like beating... So last week, perhaps you came 8th, let's talk hypothetically here, and Gary, for instance, came 7th, and then the second round, you beat Gary. You come 7th, he comes 8th.
Right.
And it's a progression. You've got to... And this is a saying I've always said, you've got to be able to beat yourself. Which sounds so wrong. You've got to be able to beat yourself before you can beat anybody else.
Right.
So you need to have personal goals that you need to, you know, work towards. I'll tell you what, personal goal here is Kumori trying to get Blashy Boy. He is not holding any punches here. He's got a nice gap to Dave Carr behind, but I tell you what, it's not enough. He wants that 4th position, and I think he's going to feel a little bit aggrieved the way Blashy Boy made that overtake. The old Blashy Boy coming out, which is really sad to see. But there's the mistake by Blashy Boy. Kumori is going to make his way up. Blashy Boy squeezes in there, leaves the minimal amount of room, and it's a perfect amount of room. I'm not going to deny that, but Kumori is back in the hunt here for P4.
Yeah, exciting stuff out of Komori, trying to find those gaps and just get enough room. But good on Blashy Boy, being respectful around that corner there, giving him just enough room. But yeah, we'll see. Again, those positions that are qualifying right now are positions 3, 4, and 5. So Komori's sitting at the bottom of it right now. And Dave also was, you know, involved in a couple of those little battles. Seems to have dropped back a little bit. So between Komori and Blashy Boy right now, we'll see if anything is able to happen towards the end of this race here.
Well, Dave's going to be praying these two start fighting so he can catch up. That's what he's hoping for at this point. Talk about race leader. He is coming up towards the final sector of this circuit. He's been absolutely dominant here. But we've got to check out Kumori and Blashy Boy. We're going to watch them come down in towards the hairpin, I think. And then we'll go back to the leader just to watch him cross the line and get straight back to this battle here. But Kumori's got on the power nicely here. And he's in that slipstream here. The big, long straight down in towards the hairpin. And can he get a move made here? Blashy Boy would definitely have known he was in his mirrors when it was daytime. But now, even more so, with those front lights on, flashing in behind him. Well, actually, Kimura's not even flashing. A lot of drivers do tend to do it. It's gone wide here. I thought he might try and do the old whoop-de-wop there and try and go up the inside late, but didn't work out. And maybe he's going to look to try and do something in the stadium section. That is where Blashy Boy made a mistake on the previous lap. But we've got one more corner to go, and it's 2 from 2 here. THR Operator is now $500 richer due to 2 wins in a row. He's now snaking across the line. Congratulations to the THR driver. And Max Power, also already qualified for our regional final, is going to finish in P2 here. A couple of corners to negotiate, but he is all good in the hood. You can see that the lights coming through here nicely. around the final corner, and there you have it then. Max A Power is indeed going to get $250, but he's already qualified. So what about the next three here? Well, Racer 66 is the next qualifier for the Logitech G Challenge USA final, but then who is going to be the last two? Kumori trying to find the gap here on Blashy Boy. It's not going to make a difference here. I think they're both going to get it, although it might be a drag race on the power earlier for Kumori. Can he go around the outside here? Side-by-side action, and I think Blashy Boy is just going to get him on the line. So Blashy Boy and Kumori provisionally are both qualified, and Dave Carr is going to finish down in 6th. What a race.
Yeah, man, exciting stuff. And that even little pack behind them, while there's some room for improvement, you look at like Dave and Snakey, and Dave definitely, if either Blashy Boy or Kumori had made a mistake, he was right there ready to capitalize on it. But Snakey as well, kind of calming down, and only a couple of seconds back on those positions on 5 and 6. And then, of course, Bones, the underdog story of the whole G Challenge, he shaves a couple of seconds off his lap times, and he's all of a sudden competing as well.
He's looking really, really good. And again, it's all about beating your own personal goals and moving forward, and that's what Logitech are giving us with this championship across the world as well. It's in 4 different continents. And we're just trying to find the new talents in sim racing. We know who the best of the best are, but there are people out there who are undiscovered and we have no idea of yet. The final classification here then is THR Operator picking up another W. We've got Max A Power also already qualified for the final. So the 3 qualifiers are Racer 66, Blashy Boy, and Kumori. Again, that is provisional results, but the money will go to THR Operator, $250. Max A Power will get $150. Racer 66 will get $100. Unfortunately for Dave Carr, he's just outside of the top 5. Snakey is in 7th, Bones in 8th, Happy Smoke is in 9th position, and Dano LP is in 11th.
Man, that was some exciting racing we witnessed across the board today. I have to say, all racers on all platforms seem to step it up compared to that first qualifier. Some of those battles we saw had me sweating over here, and I wasn't even in the driver's seat. So I have to give these guys major credit for the way they performed all weekend here. But I think unless you have any thing else to cover, that's going to be our last race for qualifier number 2 here.
Yeah, well, I just want to give a shout out to everybody in that lobby, because even at the back end there with Dano, with Fat Matt, with Happy Smoke, Bones, like that was some of the most interesting racing we've had in this competition so far. So, they may have cost each other the opportunity of going through just by being side by side. So everybody's, shown a real good account of themselves, and just keep pushing. But yes, Frank, that's me done. It's been great commentating with you again. It's been a great competition to be involved with.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure as well, but I guess that's going to do it for today, guys, and thank you again for joining us on stream, but be sure to tune in Sunday, July 14th. That is going to be our 3rd online qualifier, and also spread the word on social media. And if you want more info yourself, or you want to know how to register, or maybe you know someone who might be interested in competing in these qualifiers, be sure to check out teambeyond.net and head over to actualvision.com/G Challenge USA to find out how to register. But guys, again, that's going to do it for today. So we'll see you next time. Peace.